D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David James here with you. We hope you are having a wonderful start to your Wednesday, a beautiful day in Nashville, Tennessee. And here's how you know that the three of us have been working together for some time. When we come in to the station and we sit down and we go over what we're going to discuss, oftentimes one of us will bring up some sort of grievance we have from our day. Derek came in today. He had a grievance. I came in today. I had a grievance. We had not discussed these grievances before the show.
Not at all.
Our grievances are the same. And our grievances can be summed up in one word. Rex Road. Not Rocks Road, Scott Stapp.
Man.
Rex Road.
I mean, Rex. But, okay, let me go to mine first, and then you can go to yours.
They're literally pushing to the microphone.
Yes. Let me go to mine first.
The first.
Let's hear from Derek first.
Okay. This morning, I had to take my car to the dealership, oil change and stuff. And so, got in the car. First thing I wanted to listen to, obviously, is the morning show.
Best morning show in town.
Absolutely. And I needed a laugh, too, this morning. So I turn it on, and I hear Robbie and Joe, and they're waiting on PK, and, they're discussing some things. And then all of a sudden, PK enters the room after break. And it felt, which I love, it felt like just two old married couples that have been together for 50 years, that they love one another, but they don't respect one another, on certain things. Or they do, but from the outside looking in, this is how they show their sort of respect. I swear, Rex Road, I think he called PK a jackass like 3 or 4 times.
I know he did. You know why? I had to turn down my radio when I was driving my 4.5-year-old son to school. And on top of that, Dustin in Hopkinsville, who has cursed on our program before, called in shortly thereafter and said a-hole, but not a-hole. He said the whole thing.
You can't do that. But
I had to turn off Robbie and Rex Road for a second, which I do not like to do because of Rex Road's and Dustin's potty mouths.
But it wasn't even that. It was the mere fact that what PK was saying did have some merit to it.
And it was about
Diana Rossini.
Yes. Mike Vrabel story, and Rex Road. And I understand why Rex Road operated the way that he did. Rex Road has not talked about that story until today. And it's a weird position for him to be in because until yesterday, he was co-workers with Diana Rossini.
But I understood what PK was talking about because
all right, so fill people in if they didn't hear that.
What PK was saying was basically is that your listeners wanted to hear you comment on the Rossini and Vrabel situation.
Correct.
Rex said he didn't want to touch it because he's friends. He obviously wanted everything to come out first before he really touched it because they're friends. And I get that part. But what PK was saying, I understand that. But your listeners, you should be able to, even if you're friends with someone, you should be able to then tell your listeners, hey, convey that message to your listeners. And I think that's what PK, you didn't convey that to your listeners. That's what PK was saying, that, hey, listen, Diana's a friend, colleague. I respect, I'd rather not discuss it right now. Later on, once things come out, I can discuss it then. So that was PK stance. Like, listen, you have an audience that want to hear you comment on this. And if you're not, at least tell your audience that, hey, listen, right now, I am not going to comment on it. So I understood what PK was saying. And I understand what Rex was saying to a degree. But I've always found that you can comment on, but you got to be very careful, even if it's with a friend. I had to comment on, what happened years ago with Ray Rice. He was a good friend of mine. I played with him. But yet still, I felt I had to comment, or if someone asked me the question, I commented in a way where it was respectful of everybody, And I think that's what PK was saying, and that's what the listeners wanted to hear. Like, at least say something. You ain't got to go like ghost about it. So, and then he kept calling him a JA, and it was funny because they were going back and forth. And PK wasn't letting up. He just kept going at him, and he kept calling him a JA. It was just funny to me.
I was so nervous that Arlo was going to say, "What's a jackass?" So I did have to turn down.
I turned mine up.
I did have to turn down the radio for just a moment. But Rex Road, you're not off the hook yet, buddy, if you're listening. One texter said, Rex Road also dropped B-slap, but he actually said the word.
Oh, he did? I didn't hear that part.
Rex Road also dropped B-slap. Morning show was litty. Let's get to that. So, as I've mentioned, I am the father of a 4.5-year-old boy and a nearly 2-month-old girl. So I don't sleep much. I wake up early. And when I wake up early, one of the first things that I do is I turn on my favorite morning radio program, Robbie and Rex Road. And I usually listen to the show on YouTube. So I pull up my phone, click on YouTube, type in Robbie and Rex Road, click. And when I clicked on it this morning, the latest comment in the YouTube chat was from Ian Safar. And it said something along the lines of, we need a segment called Vingan's Vindication. And I was like, why am I being mentioned in the YouTube chat? So I scrolled up because I wanted to know why I was apparently vindicated. I guess it was about some opinions I had on the Predators. But then Joe started yelling at me in the chat and on the air.
Joe is just grumpy today.
He said, get out of the YouTube chat, Vingan. What's wrong with a little cross promotion, Rex Road? We're all one big happy family here.
I think his gout was
at 102.5. The game could be the gout.
Yeah, it could be the gout.
It got to his brain, not just his foot.
He's
it got
a little
to his
grumpy
brain
this morning.
So Rex Road said, to the texter's point, Rex Road said that if you hear that I'm in DVD's YouTube chat today, the next time you see me, I want you to B-slap me.
Oh, snap.
What's wrong with being in our YouTube chat? It's a good place to hang in the afternoon. Well. So, Rex Road, I love you. We've known each other now for 10 years. You're one of my guys. But you pissed me off this morning, and you apparently got on Derek's nerves today.
He didn't necessarily get on I laughed because I needed to laugh. Y'all just sound like two just old married couples. That's just what you and PK sound like. So there's nothing wrong with it.
Who's the wife and who's the husband?
I don't know. Let them pick. But that's how they were arguing.
I think in this scenario, Paul would be the wife because Joe does the Edith Bunker impression of Paul Kaharski. So
I love it when he does that. Every time I hear it, I laugh.
You know Joe's ears are burning right now. Yeah. Joe, just for the record, I have no beef with you today, okay?
Today.
Just today. I have no problem with Joe Rex Road today.
Today. One texter says, normal thinking people with brains and people who are not messy understood exactly why Rex Road did not address the Russini-Vrabel situation.
But again, it's not about you going in depth with it. It's about you being able to explain it in a way that's respectful to your friend, and respectful, to the topic. And that's what I found, because my thing is, my mom, you call a spade, but then you can work after that. You call it what it is, and then you move forward after that, and you can discuss it. And I'm not saying that Rex doesn't live by that motto, but that's what his listeners want to hear, because he's great on radio. He understands and knows about all this stuff, and people just wanted to hear his comment. It didn't have to be in depth, but I just think people wanted to hear him sort of mention it in a sense.
It's an endorsement of you, Rex Road. People want to hear what you have to say, even when you tell people to B-slap you if you're in our YouTube chat. So, Rex Road, I'm sort of egging you on here. I dare you. Please to enter the YouTube chat today, Rex Road, because here's what we'll do. That we'll sign you up for one of those professional slap fights, and we'll let a professional slap fighter just smack you across the mouth if you enter the YouTube chat. I dare you, Rex Road. I dare you. Speaking of things that ticked off a lot of people, in its biggest NBA game yet, Amazon Prime crashed in overtime of an NBA play-in game last night between Charlotte and Miami. From Front Office Sports, the Hornets were ahead 123-120 with 48.1 seconds left when the stream went to black. After about 20 seconds of dead air, a blue screen popped up that read technical difficulties. The screen was on air for approximately 90 seconds, putting the total dead air at close to 2 minutes of real time. About 22 seconds of game action was missed during the dead period, during which LaMelo Ball scored to put Charlotte ahead by 5. So, although only 22 seconds of game action was missed, again, this was Amazon's first NBA postseason broadcast. Amazon paid, I don't even know how much money, way too much money for this opportunity. This was the first time a lot of people were watching Amazon broadcast a basketball game. And with how streaming is these days, all of these important games are going to be on streaming platforms moving forward. So,
but this is not their first time, televising a game, period. I mean,
they've had the NFL for years.
They've had the NFL for years. So it shouldn't have happened. Why it happened? I mean, don't know. Luckily, you're not talking about the NBA Finals, albeit it was a great game. And luckily, you didn't miss nothing but 22 seconds of it. It was out for approximately 2 minutes of real time, which meant, you missed 22 seconds of it. But outside of that, I can't, it would be unacceptable. Because what if they didn't see the last play? What was it? The layup that ended up winning it for Charlotte?
LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo Ball. What if they hadn't seen that? That would have been big, huge.
I just think it was a huge blunder by Amazon on its first major NBA postseason broadcast.
Well, you can only go up from here.
Starting at the bottom.
I suppose that's true. I mean, even LeBron James tweeted, quote, "Tell me the game didn't just cut off. Am I tripping? WTH."
It did come off. Even the filthy rich are not immune.
By the way, it was an 11-year, $77 billion media rights deal. Amazon alongside NBC.
So what do you think in terms of money-wise, how much that cost them? 22 seconds equals what? A bunch of millions of dollars.
Not an insignificant amount of money.
Exactly.
One texter says about Rex Road and Robbie and Rex Road this morning, as someone with a 2, 3, and 4-year-old who was also driving them to school, who are extremely perceptive, I was cringing a bit.
Ooh. I mean, it wasn't so much for me. And listen, I don't have little ones, so I got to sort of understand that part. But there's so much stuff that is said nowadays. I mean, him saying Jay is the least of the problem, but I understand for those who have little ones, you don't want your little one here and then repeat them when you go to school. So I understand that.
Chris says, if Amazon televised the Kentucky Derby, you would have missed the entire race.
You got a point there.
So
you got a point there.
You got to work on this, Amazon.
So they will not be televising no Kentucky Derbies anytime soon.
I have adopted the Hornets as my team in the NBA playoffs. They've got my guy Con Knipo.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And
he was off yesterday.
Yeah, he had a bad game yesterday. But you know what? Survive and advance.
That's all it's about.
As you know, he'll have a better game next time. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on Rex Road the Potty Mouth. Rex Road, I dare you. Frazier tells me Power Slap is the official name of that league. So, Rex Road, I dare you to get into the YouTube chat so we can have a power slapper. I assume that's what they're called, a power slapper. We'll have a power slapper slap you. Easy for me to say. 615-737-1025. Love you, Rex Road. Coming up next, we're going to talk about something that Willie Donick absolutely loves. I've known Willie Donick now for 10 years. I know he has a lot of passions, a lot of loves in his life. We're going to talk about something he is incredibly passionate about at this time of the year specifically. 615.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
615-737-1025. Let me tell all of you that you can tee it up with us at the 5th annual 615 Open, May 28th at Hermitage Golf Course. We are once again supporting Folds of Honor to help them fund life-changing scholarships for families of America's fallen heroes. Register now to play or sponsor at 615open.com.
I'm going Jeremiah Love. I just think the best player or second best player at 4 is too hard to pass up at this particular point. I know Sonny Styles will have to be in the discussion, but to me, Jeremiah Love for Tennessee, for Cam Ward, they made some moves on both sides of the ball. Obviously, they still have some other moves to be made, but Jeremiah Love is a special entity. He's a rare talent. And when you get a guy like that at 4 who's multi-purpose, can catch the ball, do everything you want, is so reliable, why not? How can you pass up a guy like that at 4? So I went Jeremiah Love to Tennessee because, like I say, he's much more than just a great running back. He is and we say it all along, he's the big-time weapon, one of the biggest-time weapons you'll see. And if Bijan Robinson and all these other running backs that went high, McCaffrey, everybody went in the top 10 is hit big. Gibbs slightly out of the top 10. We haven't had a bust in the top 10 at running back for a long, long time. These guys come in and they do one thing, guys. They play right away as good or better than they'll ever play the rest of their career. That's the one position, probably the only position you could say that about. I can get as much or more out of my rookie running back than I may ever get out of him, as long as he can block, and he can. So to me, Jeremiah Love, you put him in there, he should be up for Rookie of the Year honors. You already know that going in.
That was Mel Kiper, of course. I mean, who else could it be? That voice is distinctive. In Mel Kiper's final mock draft, it is hard for me to talk over that. I'm surprised I did so well. It does make me laugh every time. And just so you guys know, the first round of the draft is next Thursday, right? A week from tomorrow. If the Titans draft Jeremiah Love next Friday, all of the songs are going to be love songs. All of them are going to be love songs.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Mel Kiper in his final mock draft has the Titans taking Jeremiah Love, as he explained right there. But as I mentioned before the break, I've known Willie Donick now for more than 10 years. Derek, you've known Willie Donick longer than that. A lot of you have known Willie Donick in some form for a lot longer than that. He is an institution in the city of Nashville. And getting to know Willie Donick, I know a few things. I know his passions, his loves, not Jeremiah Love, just his loves in general. He loves his children, Evie and Mahoney. He loves the Denison Big Red.
Yes.
He loves
number
the
one in
Denison,
the country, by the way.
He loves the
Division
Denison
three.
Big Red. That's the college team Mahoney pitches for. He loves his New York Mets. Of course, he loves the Nashville Predators. But if there's one thing that Willie Donick loves, maybe even more than his children, it's trading down.
The trade down. Yes. The trade down.
He loves trading down in the NFL draft. And of course, every year when you have a top pick, you talk about this. Should the Titans trade down? Should this team trade down? Should that team trade down? And I saw an interesting note in one of Albert Breer's recent notebooks on Sports Illustrated. I'll read some of it. Quote, teams picking behind the New York Jets are looking to move down. Count the Cardinals, Titans, Giants, Browns, and Commanders. Among those already looking at trying to drop down in the order to accumulate capital. The problem for those 5 is finding teams to move up. Breer mentions there are 2 players who could provoke such a move. One is Arvell Reese, assuming David Bailey is off the board at number 2. The other is Jeremiah Love. Breer writes, quote, the other player who could inspire a trade is Jeremiah Love based on the sort of difference maker he can be for an offense and the high volume nature of the impact he can make. Of course, a team would have to be comfortable valuing a running back that way, but he's very much in the Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey class as a tough, rugged inside runner with the ability as a receiver to stay on the field in all situations. Willie's already got the report up from the Nobel Prize-winning economist, but before we get to that, Derek Mason, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You are the conductor of the Jeremiah Love train. You have wanted the Titans to draft Jeremiah Love for months.
Yes.
Before I think a lot of people started mocking Jeremiah Love to the Tennessee Titans. Let me ask you this. Let's fast forward 1 week from tomorrow, I believe. The Titans are on the clock at number 4. And Jeremiah Love is there. And you're just hoping and wishing and praying that the Titans do what you think is the right thing and they draft Jeremiah Love. But instead, Mike Borgonzi pulls a Donick and trades down, which means no Jeremiah Love for you. How are you going to feel if that's what happens next week?
Disappointed, but I can see the bigger picture. If someone's willing to move that high up in the draft, from wherever they are, say, it's 12-4, as many are sort of speculating whether Kansas City, Dallas, one of these teams would be willing or looking to move up to get a particular player. Now, if they are moving down, then I understand it, because Berganzi said this when he first took the job. He said he wants so many picks within the next how many years. He want what did he say? But 10 picks or 100, something like that, within the top 100.
He wanted 12 in the top 100.
Top 100.
Right?
So that would sort of fit his plan, is to, because we thought, well, he would do it last year. And I know Willie was big on him doing it last year, and a lot of other people were, but they chose not to do it. They chose to draft a quarterback. Well, this is a year that they can kind of sort of get back to that plan. So if they were to move down, my only thing is, if you're going to move down, you need to get 2 picks in the first round this year, depending on which team. Because if it's Kansas City and Dallas want to move up, you ain't giving me one draft. You ain't giving me one first round. You're giving me both of your first round picks this year and maybe something next year, third, somewhere around there. I am not giving up the 4th pick to you if you're not giving me both of your first round picks back then because of that. Because, again, you're trying to move up to get a player that you think at the current position that you're in, he will not be there. So if he means that much to your team, then you have to ante up. And you got to allow me, you got to put something on the table that convinces me that I need to get back to my plan of having 10 to 12 picks in the top 100 within the next couple of years. So I'll be disappointed, because I think Jeremiah Love is he's going to be a hell of a player, and they will benefit, immediately from him. But I think also too, they will benefit immediately, getting back to the plan of securing more draft picks within the next couple of years.
Craig on our text line says, if Love is on the board at number 4 and we trade down, I might just go be a Bills fan. I don't know if I can be okay with a team accepting they would be okay with scoring fewer than 20 points a game. We'll get back to that. But Willie, I know that you want to remind us what the Nobel Prize winning economist Richard Thaler has had summarized.
And I know what you're thinking out there. Did Richard Thaler ever play football? Probably not. Is he a coach for somebody? No. Is he on somebody's analytics staff? No. But these guys studied every NFL draft for 16 years. And what they found consistently was that teams massively overestimate their abilities to delineate between stars and flops, because these are humans, right? They overvalue the, quote, right to choose in the draft. So their findings were the following. This is not the first time we brought this up on the show. We did it last year before the Titans decided to use the first pick on Cam Ward. And this had Cam Ward had nothing to do with this article, right? These studies go back decades, and they have stayed tried and true over the years. The treasured number 1 pick in the draft is actually the least valuable in the first round. The least valuable, according to the surplus value a team can create with each pick. In other words, trading down from the first pick gets you way more value than actually picking the guy at number 1. Across all rounds, the probability that a player starts more games than the next player chosen at his position is only 53%. Again, trading down a couple of spots, you get more picks, and you have almost as much chance of that guy a couple slots down being a better player than your spot. And finally, teams generated a 174% return on trades by foregoing a pick in this year's draft for picks in next year's draft. So, all that said, we get, and I've been covering this for decades now, these drafts, right? We all get our opinions on the top picks. We talk about them constantly. We've been up and down the board on Jeremiah Love. We've talked a lot about Sonny Styles and all of these guys. But the fact is that if you just back off, get out of that perspective and just pull back and look at the macro, you have no idea who's going to be a stud and who's not. That's the reality of it. We can all say, yep, I'm sure Jeremiah Love is going to be a great player at number 4. But we can't know that. And we also can't know if they trade down a couple of spots and get Sonny Styles or whoever they would get if they move down three spots and get the extra picks. We don't know if Sonny Styles would be any good. But over time, it is a fact. You can't get around it that the strategy of trading down works. I made that point last year after they chose not to do that with the first pick. And we found out what they could have gotten for that first pick, and it was quite a bit. They are where they are. I think it would be a really intriguing scenario if Jeremiah Love is at 4. They like Jeremiah Love, but 2 or 3 teams are offering them stuff for that pick. I think that's a fascinating debate to have of what you would do in those, 10, 15 minutes that you have on the clock.
But the central question in this, and we were trying to get at this with Easton Freeze yesterday when he joined our program, how far can the Titans trade back and still find that potential franchise-changing player? Easton, I believe, said that if you move out of the top 5, you're not going to find that player.
Right. But again, that is based on the evaluation of this year's group, which is, I agree, that is definitely applicable here. But again, I asked the pullback, right? This is my perspective. Pull back over time, trading down gets results.
Okay.
It's a tough one because these are humans. You've been watching these guys. It's your job as scouts to watch these guys, all their moves, all the film, do the studies. You know, what kind of person is he? All those things. But you cannot know how good a guy's going to be.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. And that's with anybody.
So more picks equal more chances to get good players.
Yeah. But is there something in an article that, because on average, I've looked it up. On average, there are 5.5 trades in the first round historically. Over the last, since 2020, there's been 5.6 trades in the first round. So when they say that, it doesn't seem like they have this, like if that was the case, then there would be more trades in the first round.
Right. But that's kind of the premise of the study is that people are stupid.
Yes, or
they fall in love with individuals and they don't see the value. They can't pull back from the humans and the desire for the immediate success, like a coach saying, we got to have the quarterback.
Okay, all right, okay.
Oh, I can't pass up on this running back. We've got to have this guy.
Okay, so is that just because I just pulled the numbers for the first round?
Yeah.
Are they just saying trading period?
Period.
Like moving from one space, trading down period.
Yes, but they conclude that the number 1 pick in the draft is the least valuable.
Oh, so
because you can get the most for it.
They're basing it on really the number 1 pick.
Well, no, they do it on every pick.
But I'm saying a lot of this is, you're right. If it's between the first, let's say just for instance, and I don't mean he's catching a straight here, Jamarcus Russell. Right. Jamarcus Russell is the first pick in the draft. We all know, because of what happened, it would have been better if it was even presented to them that the then Oakland Raiders should trade out of that pick and get more picks in the first round, or just get more picks, period. Because if I'm trading out that first pick, if I'm then getting 2 first-round picks, the likelihood of that guy, being a player in this league is higher. Now, if we trade out and I'm getting 2nd, 3rd, 4th-round picks, I would think it would sort of even itself out.
Well, remember when John Robinson came in, he had the first pick. Of course, it was easier for him because they had Marcus Mariota. Mm-hmm. He had just been there for a year. So it was easy for him to make the decision to wheel and deal. But look at all what he got for that first pick. He got a lot, including the 5th pick in the next year's draft, which was Corey Davis. Mm-hmm. And so Corey Davis is a great example of now they have the 4th pick. Corey Davis was the 5th pick. There are expectations for that 5th pick. Corey Davis was a good player. But the fact is that just because the guy's the 3rd pick, the 4th pick, or the 5th pick, it just doesn't mean over the years that you're going to get the stud. You just don't know if it's going to be Corey Davis with the 5th pick or Randy Moss, right? Like the 4th, we don't know if it's Jeremiah Love is going to be Saquon Barkley or Trent Richardson. We don't know as much as you think you know. And that's why the value of getting the extra picks, like if we're playing darts and Adam gets 1 shot at the bullseye and I get 10, I like my chances of winning. I have more shots at a bullseye.
I want to stay on this after the break.
We will.
It's. I understand what you're saying, Willie. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
We will. 615-737-1025. We will continue this on the other side. We'll get your reaction as well. 615-737-1025. I know a lot of you, like Derek Mason, want Jeremiah Love. So I will ask you all the same question. If the Titans were to trade down from 4 and Jeremiah Love is on the board at 4, how would you feel? 615-737-1025. I'll also share something really interesting I noticed in 3 prominent analysts' mock drafts. They all speculated on the same thing, which I think is interesting. We'll share that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on Worcester. I believe Robbie Stanley mispronounced that earlier. He might have said Worcester.
Worcester.
What's happening on that Robbie and Rex Road program?
Everything.
Everything is happening on that Robbie and Rex Road program. Nashville takes on Worcester at First Horizon Park. First pitch is at 6:35. Catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. D-Mace, Vingan and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Does this song bring you back?
Oh my goodness! Within 3 notes.
You
You know what's funny? I was listening to the countdown of the top 40 songs from on this date in 19, I guess it was 85. Was the countdown. They'll do that on the 80s channel, on the satellite radio. It's a good program I love listening to because it takes you back. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
1985, April. Where was I? Oh, yeah, I was doing this. I was doing that. So Axel Foley,
song.
this song was in the top 40.
The scene, do you know the scene the song is playing in?
Oh, it's like every scene, but like when
Yeah,
they're when he's trying to, he goes in the warehouse and he's looking through, he's sneaking around.
Or when he was trying to get the fingerprints off of the piece of paper with the
with the coffee
cigarette lighter.
grinds,
Yeah.
and the bonds,
And he put it inside the thing, and then lit it on fire. Would he light it? No, he didn't light it. He put the crazy glue on the matches, put it in a thing, and the song was playing.
Oh, yeah. Harold Faltermeyer.
Boom, boom, boom.
We can keep going if you want.
Exactly.
Let's move on.
But no.
Let's
Have you seen Beverly Hills Cop, the first one?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, I have.
Thank God.
I have seen
Thank
Beverly
goodness.
Hills.
Thank
Cop.
goodness.
It's really good.
Who do I look like? Max Hers,
That's what I was just about to
who's
say.
never
Oh, my
seen
goodness.
Fantasy Island.
Yes, Max.
Oh man,
Watch it now.
Everybody's on my list today. All right, so here was the question. We'll get back to Derek's thought in just a second. Here was my question: 615-737-1025. I know a lot of you want the Titans to draft Jeremiah Love. We're talking about the idea of trading down because that's in the air. If the Titans were to trade down at 4 with Jeremiah Love on the board, how would you feel? Trevor says, yeah, if Love is there at 4 still and the Titans pass on him, I'm pretty sure they won't have to worry about demolishing the old Nissan Stadium because all of the wackadoos who have heard nothing but love to the Titans for the last month will burn it down. One texter says, to you, Willie, I hate the dartboard analogy. So sure, you get more darts, Willie, but you're not throwing at the same board by the time you're up. Let's say the 20, 19, 18, and 17 are all removed by the time you get to even throw your darts. You may still hit your bullseye, but if you miss, you're left with a 1 or a 3 instead of missing the bullseye and hitting a 17.
But that doesn't fit either because you don't know what the 17, what the 2, what the 3, what the 4 is. You don't know. You don't have that knowledge.
Yes, you don't. Okay.
You don't know the future success of any one player in the draft.
Yes. Now you may be leaning. The prediction is a little bit more one side than the other as far as what he projects moving forward. But all these young men it's a roll of the dice. And you never know what you're going to get because this is such a physical sport that he could be starting off on the right track, get hurt, and then ends up derails everything. But back to the, trading down, because I think you're right from a number 1 pick standpoint, drafting that guy over getting 2, possibly 3 picks, it seemed like you would lean more toward, okay, if there's not a consensus number 1, I'm not going to reach for this guy. I'm moving out of the spot, moving down. Maybe you want to get that first pick and draft who you want, but I need more picks. But I think the further you go down in the draft, the less that becomes a factor in regards to how good this player is going to be. Because essentially, and I think Rex Center was talking about this morning, or it might have been Jake, that how many true first rounders are there in this year's draft? How many true elite players?
I can help you answer that question.
Go ahead. How many elite players?
Right. These are important questions.
Yes.
Matt Miller of ESPN a couple of weeks ago posted his list of the players he has given first round grades to. He gave 12 players in this draft class first round grades. I'll name some of them. Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love, Carnell Tate, Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, David Bailey, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Jermod McCoy from Tennessee, which is interesting because he did not play last season, although he did have an excellent pro day. Mansour Delane from LSU, Caleb Downs,
That's it.
That's most of the list.
So you take those players, and if you're moving outside of, say,
Let's assume it's 12.
yeah,
Let's use
if you're
Pat
moving
Miller.
outside of 12, I think
You
that
have to
drops
wait.
tremendously.
You have to wait.
Yes.
You can't ignore that. I agree with that.
No, yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Yes, it looks great if I'm moving from 1 to and getting 2 picks and moving no further than, say, 12. But okay, if I give up my first pick and I'm getting pick 5 and this year's 51st pick, well, I have no more chance of that 51st guy hitting than I do the 30th guy hitting, because they're all the same to me once you sort of get past that first 15. So I understand what you're saying, but I think there's a flaw to it the further you get down in the draft.
So here's something interesting I saw today as I was preparing for the show. A lot of the NFL draft analysts are posting their final mock drafts before the actual draft next week. So I read 3 mock drafts. Mel Kiper, we heard from Mel Kiper earlier in the program, Todd McShay, and Dane Brugler. All 3 of them have a mock trade involving the Cowboys and the Browns. The Cowboys are at 12 and 20. The Browns are at 6. All 3 of them, McShay, Kiper, and Brugler, have the Cowboys trading up from 12 to 6 and taking Sonny Styles. So there's something there. All 3 of them are predicting that.
You know, what's funny, what's ironic about that is in this article that The Athletic put together that was written in 2024. So it's, a couple years ago now. Jerry Jones is a central figure because he is so often guilty of falling in love with a guy and getting suckered. It doesn't always blow up in your face, right? Trading up does sometimes work. Just like trading down sometimes doesn't work. But over the long haul, you will come out ahead if you're trading down. But that's why it's interesting that here comes Jerry Jones again in the talk. He's got the 2 first-round picks in his pocket. He's like, let's go to the table, baby.
But here's what's interesting.
Go.
Here's what's interesting, Derek. All 3 of them have that trade, but all 3 of them have different trade terms.
Okay.
McShay said the Cowboys trade number 12, number 92, and a 2027 second rounder to the Browns for just number 6. 12, 92, and a 2027 second rounder for number 6. That was McShay's. Kiper's was Dallas trades 12 and 20 to Cleveland for 6 and 39.
Okay, I have it. There's a better shot.
And
There's
Brugler,
Yes,
Brugler has the Browns getting 12, 20, and a 4th round pick in 2027. The Cowboys get number 6 and number 7.
So I would rather go with the latter. The 2 that are giving me 2 first-round picks within the first 20. I think that's
so. Kiper's was 12 and 20
Yes.
for 6 and 39.
Brugler's
was 12, 20, and a 4th round picks next year for 6 and 39.
So in those 2 instances, I'm still getting top 20 players essentially for my one trade moving out of my 6th spot. The one that is giving me, the first one that is giving me, I believe, we're switching first rounders, and you're giving me 92.
92 is a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, you missed me with that one because again,
you would get a 1st this year, a 3rd this year, a 2nd next year for number 6.
Again, it goes to what is the difference, at least in this draft? What is the difference between the 92nd or the 30th and the 39th and the 29th player?
Here's what
as far as how you rate these guys, there's not much difference in either one of them.
I pulled up the Jimmy Johnson trade value chart. The Titans' number 4 overall pick has a value of $1,800. Remember that number, $1,800. The Cowboys' first-round picks, plural, 12 and 20, have a combined value of $2,050. 2050.
That's because they're staying within the first round, within the top 20, right?
I'm not sure exactly how these values have been formulated, but here's my point. If the Titans were to trade with the Cowboys for 12 and 20, the Jimmy Johnson chart would consider that a slight overpay on the part of the Cowboys.
But isn't that the the goal for the Titans is to get
Right.
someone to overpay to move up to the spot
Yes.
that they want. So
And also, we have to keep in mind that chart is generic. It
Mhm.
doesn't take into account
Correct.
each particular
Yes,
draft
that
because
is
every
correct.
draft is
It's different,
different.
yes.
And that's why you have to balance these philosophies with the personnel that your scouts are telling you, hey, after 12, it drops off, or whatever your scouts are telling you.
because you got to look at it also like this. Okay. If you're picking in the third round and say there's a wide receiver, or if you get a third round pick, or let's say a second round pick, makes it a little bit better. You get a second round pick. That wide receiver you want, because you got 2 picks now. So you get that whatever pick and you get another pick within the first round or later. So that wide receiver you may want, you may get that guy, say that the rush in, who's a top 4 or 5 rush in. So you're going to get your guy. You're going to get probably the third best rush in if you moved out a couple of spots. That receiver now, what you want, you're not going to be able to get him. Because now if you're picking in the second or late in the second round, he's going to be gone. So now what you got to do, I need a receiver. Now you're going to have to go from the 5th to possibly the 10th rated guy or the 12th rated guy, which means he has a higher probability of not panning out. That's the way I'm looking at
So
it.
to me, and I will make this case work because we're going to go back to this at 5, I think,
Yes.
with endorsing. So I think the ideal play here would be to leverage the 4th pick,
Mhm.
move down 1 to 3 to 4 spots. To
No more than
still-
6 spots.
I don't even like. It all depends on where you think it stops. The
Mhm.
premier player. I want a premier player, but if I can get a guy who's in my mind, still a premier player, regardless of position, and I can get an extra pick or 2 by moving down just a couple of spots, I'm all in on that.
By the way, at 5 o'clock, we will make our official endorsements. Which player we want the Tennessee Titans to draft at number 4 overall. By the way, if you want to laugh, this is from Pro Football Reference. The draft value chart is supposed to represent trade value for draft picks, as devised by Mike McCoy, Titans interim coach.
Oh, wow.
Mike
The
McCoy.
Mike McCoy,
Wow.
the substitute teacher.
Yes.
Wow.
The Mike McCoy, and utilized by Jimmy Johnson. So maybe I had Mike McCoy all wrong.
Yeah.
615-737-1025. We will get back into the NFL draft during the 5 o'clock hour. But coming up next, the Predators play their final game of the season tomorrow at home against Anaheim. We have tickets for that game, by the way, so be listening in the next hour. And we started talking about questions that the organization is going to have to answer. We are going to tackle one of those questions coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David James here with you. Be listening this hour because you could win a pair of tickets to see the Predators and their season finale tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena against the Anaheim Ducks. So be listening for the cue to call at 615-737-1025. A disappointing end of the season for the Predators. One game left. They were eliminated from playoff contention on Monday. So the team will miss the postseason for the third time in 4 years. And yesterday we started talking about the major questions that the Predators are going to have to answer this offseason. First and foremost, who's going to be the new GM? Because once they answer that question, a lot of the other questions will begin to be answered. And one of those questions that will begin to be answered, once the GM gets hired, is the fate of Predators coach Andrew Brunette. Just some of the details of Brunette's tenure as coach of the Nashville Predators. He has a record of 115, 107, and 23. That is a 516, 516 points percentage, which ranks 26th in the NHL since the start of the 2023-2024 season. The Predators have made one playoff appearance under Brunette in 2024 against the Vancouver Canucks. That same season, he was the runner-up for the Jack Adams Award as the NHL's Coach of the Year. So, conventional wisdom, as we talked about yesterday, guys, conventional wisdom suggests that Andrew Brunette will probably not be the coach of the Predators next season. The team is hiring a new GM, and new GMs often want to hire their own coaches. We saw this exact scenario play out when Brunette was hired. Barry Trotz comes in. He takes over for David Poile. He hung on to John Hines at the end of the season, but ultimately fired Hines and hired Brunette. So the same thing could play out for Brunette, depending on who the Predators hire as GM. But here's the question I want to ask. 615-737-1025. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Is there a scenario where Andrew Brunette keeps his job as Predators coach? Willie, as you told us yesterday, Brunette still has 1 year remaining on his contract, so he is under contract for next season. Again, conventional wisdom suggests that the Predators will make a coaching change.
Have you done any research on how often a GM comes in and changes the coach?
I haven't, but I should. I haven't, but I should.
Because when you say conventional wisdom, obviously it's happened many times, but I just wonder exactly what the percentage is.
I will do that.
I don't know if it's that clear cut. Like, is it 50%? Is it 75%? Is it less than you would think?
Well, I think
I don't know the answer.
That it is a good question. I will endeavor to find the answer. But here's just let's just lay out the facts. And here's why I would say conventional wisdom. The Predators under Brunette have missed the playoffs 2 out of 3 years. As I just mentioned, his regular season record is 26th in the NHL. The team's record under Brunette is 26th in the NHL since Brunette was hired before the 2023-2024 season. So when you miss the playoffs in consecutive years, you've got one of the worst records in the NHL during your tenure, and a new GM is coming in. That's where I come with the conventional wisdom. Or I can rephrase.
One of the worst records?
115, 107, and 23.
Okay, but I think we all know last year was awful.
Absolutely. It doesn't change the fact that is his record.
But year 1 and year 3, I think he gets pretty good grades for. He gets great grades for his first year. He gets A's, straight A's for that. He was nominated for the Jack Adams.
Understood. I did mention he was the runner-up for the Jack
Well,
Adams.
I'm just trying to paint the full picture and not just look at a winning percentage and say
what I was intending to do there is just saying, when you take all of those facts, when you just take the facts, if the Predators made a coaching change, no one would be surprised. That's the fact that that's what I was trying to paint there. If the Predators were to make a coaching change based on all of that, I don't think anyone would be surprised. So my question is there a scenario where Brunette keeps his job? Can you envision a scenario where Brunette is the coach of the Nashville Predators when training camp opens in September?
Absolutely. When you say, is there a scenario? I think there's more than one scenario. Of course, what we don't know is who the GM is going to be, how that GM wants to go about it. All of these are variables that play into it. Okay, so let me ask you guys the question. If there were no GM change, would Andrew Brunette be back next year?
Yes, because Barry Trotz would be back.
Well, take away the fact that it's Barry Trotz. Do you think Andrew Brunette deserves to come back for a fourth year based on the job he did this year, digging them out of dead last and almost getting them to the playoffs?
Here, I'm going to answer your question with another question.
What grade would you give him this year? I give him a good grade. Not an A+, but I would give him a solid B+, keeping it together. I think he's got a pretty tight-knit group. He knows this group. And I think that is a lot to bring to the table for a new GM starting next year.
Here is where I will make a case for Andrew Brunette. In 2 of his 3 seasons, his teams have overcome slow starts. The first season, for sure. And
they were 5-10 the
right,
first season.
The team made the playoffs. And this year they fell short ultimately, but they were the worst team in the NHL after 25 games, and they made it to game 81 before being eliminated. So that is to say, the team has not ever quit on Andrew Brunette. I do not see this as a situation where he's quote unquote lost the room. I will give him high marks for that.
So you think you would say he is a good NHL coach? That because my thought in most of these cases is basically all of these guys. There occasionally will be a person that is hired that is just not cut out to be a head coach. And those guys usually weed themselves out. There's a lot of coaches that get fired and hired and rehired. We just had some fun the other day talking about John Tortorella and some of these guys and Peter DeBoer that bounce around always end up resurfacing. Those guys have been fired as much as anybody. Peter Laviolette. But by and large, all of these guys are good coaches. I think Andrew Brunette is a very good coach. He is not going in there and losing a chess match. So a lot of it is, what are you provided? This is what do you have to work with the roster? This is not a lights out roster by any stretch. It's much more about the roster than it is the coach to me.
On one hand, I will, as I just said, I will give Brunette credit for never losing the room and in 2 out of his 3 seasons overcoming slow starts. On the other hand, his team has started slow each of his 3 seasons as coach. In his first season, as you just mentioned, Willie, the Predators started 5-10. Last season, 2024-2025, the team started 7-16-6. This season, the team started 6-12-4. So in each of his 3 seasons as coach, the team has fallen on its face to start the season. I commend them, as I did yesterday, for dusting themselves off and not losing faith in the coach and playing hard and getting back into the race in his first season and in this season. But it's problematic when you have slow starts in each of your 3 seasons behind the bench.
And you think that's the coach?
I'm not placing the blame entirely on him, but as head coach, he does bear some responsibility for that.
I think there's some gray area here over the last 2 seasons. We talked about one of them yesterday, Yossi being hurt. Him missing 12, 14 games, somewhere around at the beginning of the season. And then the year before, this new ensemble of players had to get used to one another. So that was the beginning of, last season, where those players had to get used to each other. So you typically trying to, fit things in. You may start off slow. This season, you didn't have your best player. So you start off slow again. And that's why I brought up yesterday, well, the next GM how will they evaluate him? Will they evaluate him on, the beginning of the last 2 seasons, or will they evaluate him on what he did at the second half of both seasons, how we got the team to continue to play? He didn't lose the locker room. Now, historically, when you get a new GM, the head coach then is replaced right after that. But I mean, in this situation, like it was before, what did Barry Trotz do? He held on to the coach, at least for the end of the season. He ended up changing after that. The owner, he's been around this organization now. What have we always said about this organization? They're patient. They're preaching patience. So if I'm an owner and I bought this team, either I'm going to move away from that philosophy, or am I going to dig in that philosophy of being patient? If that's the case, then whoever I hire, he still has 1 year left on his contract, meaning the head coach. Let him play it out. Let's be patient, see what happens, knowing that we'll have our best player to start the season. This team will be meshed a little bit more. The young guys played well this past season. They develop even more. Let's see how it goes. This is last year. We can extend it depending on how the season's going, or we can just part ways either, in the middle of the season, like the Titans did their coach, or we can just wait after the season. So I think a lot of it depends on, to me, I think they're going to end up keeping Brunette, because of what they did toward the end of this season. But giving him this upcoming season is his season where it can't be we start off slow. They got to start off fast in order for him to keep his job.
Let's go to Jason in Hendersonville on our phone line. Jason, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
One question the new GM or the owner needs to do when they set him down is that it's obvious that his system doesn't fit this particular group of players with the lack of speed. And if they're going to introduce the new prospects more this upcoming season, they could also really, cause the team to struggle even more if the prospects, the younger guys that they put in the place of some of the veterans that they have that they can get rid of, that don't have no move clauses. So, I mean, I would expect them to keep him, in his last year of his contract, because it's either going to work, or he's going to have to change the system a little bit and try to make it work, or it's just going to be a fly-by-night season next year, trying to find out which one of the new prospects are actually going to sink or swim, and are they going to be a long-time predator that they can build around. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jason. And Willie, last year when Barry Trotz addressed reporters at the end of the season, that's the one thing everybody wanted to know. Will Andrew Brunette be back? And Barry Trotz, of course, said yes. And he said something that we talked a lot about, paraphrasing here. He said, Andrew Brunette is a good young coach. He needs to add more tools to his tool belt. Do you think Brunette did add those tools to his tool belt this season? We've talked about this. Brunette did have to make some systematic changes this season on the fly. I do remember at one point, I think it was around the Christmas break, the team started playing faster. You saw them generating more scoring chances off the rush. And when the Predators hired Brunette, I think Predators fans had that expectation that that's the way they were going to play, because you saw the Florida Panthers under Brunette when he took over for Joel Quenneville play that up and down style, score more than 4 goals per game, all of that. I also understand the texter's point about, and to your point, I think as well, about the roster. I mean, analytically, this is one of the slowest rosters in the NHL. I don't think you need fancy stats. If you watch the games, you can kind of see it. From a skating speed standpoint, this is one of the slowest teams in the NHL. So I have wondered, is Brunette the right coach for this group? I think Brunette is a good coach. I've always wondered if he's the right coach for this group.
I think he became a better coach in my mind by showing that he can adjust to the personnel. because I do think he came in, he had a vision. I think Andrew Brunette he's a hockey savant, but he has, and it's ironic, Andrew Brunette would be the first to tell you, he was one of the slowest players when he was playing, but he found a way to play over 1,000 games in the league. But he would prefer to play an up-tempo, innovative, press for offense type of system. It worked beautifully the first year. And he didn't have a team of speedsters that year. He had Gus Nyquist and Ryan O'Reilly and some of those guys. He did have, I think, a few more elements of speed, like a Kiefer Sherwood especially. But it all went south the following year. He had some new guys that were used to playing in completely different systems, and it just didn't fit. So to his credit, and I think this was where Barry Trotz stood by him, but also challenged him, that you're going to have to reshape how you play. And I think their version of the story from the coach's perspective is it took a while for that transition to happen, the old system to the change system. And you saw Steven Stamkos, for example, struggle early. And then once he got it, once he adapted, once some other guys adapted, it got way, way better. So I just think that is a good notch on Andrew Brunette's belt of he's been through the fire with this group. He knows this group. And I think that would be an advantage for him starting next season. And as D-May said, it's not like you have to give him a 3-year extension. You can go into next season and say, all right, show me what you got. I'm the new GM. Let's see how it works. You know, it's not like they're going to go into next season saying we got to win the Stanley Cup. It's going to be a wait and see. We'll see what they do to the roster. But the bottom line is the number one priority is probably going to be continuing to bring up this large pool of prospects, take them to the next step. And so I think there's no problem in going into the year with that attitude.
Quickly, Adam, what do you think is the prop? Okay, because I know there's a faction of the fan base that is going to want a new head coach. And then there's going to be a group that doesn't, and some people in the middle. Why don't you do you think he's I think Willie asked you this question, but do you think he's a good enough coach that you can retain, knowing what you have, what you don't have, and what you need?
It's a good question. I'll attempt to answer it coming up next. 615-737-1025. Here's my question. Is there a scenario where Andrew Brunette keeps his job as Predators coach? Again, I use the term conventional wisdom. I have not done the research. I will do the research, Willie. I use the term conventional wisdom would suggest that the Predators probably will make a coaching change. A new GM is coming in. Brunette's record as Predators coach isn't sensational. But is there a scenario where he keeps his job at least to start next season? 615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction to that. Also, you know what? Speaking of the Predators, let's give away a pair of tickets to tomorrow's regular season finale against the Anaheim Ducks at Bridgestone Arena. Be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win those tickets. Predators versus Ducks tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena, a 7 p.m. puck drop. Good luck. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
like I had heard yesterday from a source that the Predators are expected to keep Andrew Brunette and his staff into next season, regardless of whoever the GM is. Now, I say that out loud, and clearly the next GM might have totally different intentions and might make a change. But those guys are under contract, and the organization feels like the players haven't quit on the team, and they're pushing to try and make the playoffs despite being, kind of out of it a while ago. And so they feel comfortable.
That was Frank Saravalli about a month ago on Vancouver radio talking about Andrew Brunette and the Predators. 2 notes. One, as I just mentioned, that was a month ago. It was about mid-March when Saravalli went on the Halford and Bruff show on Vancouver radio. 2, Frank Saravalli is the NHL reporter who had the report early in the season that the Predators dressing room was quote unquote toxic. Barry Trotz came on our show and called it bull, you know what, and did not censor himself.
He did not.
So
Arlo would have been very
not at all.
I mean,
David was not happy.
Mad, you guys were mad at Rexroad.
Yes.
Good, great.
Oh my
Barry
goodness.
Trotz, he was really
So
ticked
keep
off.
those
I had to run.
keep those 2 things in mind when you hear that report from Saravalli.
That was a very inaccurate report, but he may be dead on right on this one. I don't know.
Yes. So this is the question we're debating. Is there a scenario where Andrew Brunette keeps his job as coach? And Derek, before the break, you wanted my assessment of Brunette as a coach. And I preface this by saying, I am not an X's and O's savant. My strength is statistical analysis. So I also know that there are holes in that when you're only looking at the numbers. But I do believe that Brunette is a good hockey coach. And I saw the Predators make improvements year over year. I know it's not hard to make improvements when they were as bad as they were last season. But when you look at some of the key analytics, they did make improvements. This may come as a shock to some of our listeners. They did make improvements, especially defensively. But even so, they were still a slightly below average defensive team overall. We've mentioned the sparkling numbers Justus Annunen put up in recent games. The reason he had to be so good is because the defense in front of him wasn't. So to me, as I said, I can tell, even though I'm not in the dressing room every day. Like, I've told this story a million times. I remember walking into the dressing room at the Cotton Bowl on January 1st, 2020, and knowing that Peter Laviolette was going to be fired by the Predators. Not because anybody told me that he was going to be fired by the Predators, but I was around those players every day. And I could just tell, especially the way, Will, you remember this, especially the way the Predators lost the Winter Classic at the Cotton Bowl, and hearing some of the veteran players, the things they were saying, Pekka Rinne, Roman Josi, Matthias Ekholm, I could tell as I left that dressing room, I had it in the pit of my stomach. Peter Laviolette's getting fired. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. It happened 5 days later. I'm not in this dressing room every day anymore, but the fact that the Predators have started slow and have missed the playoffs in consecutive years, and it does not appear that he has lost the room. Quote
No,
unquote.
I think it's the opposite. Wouldn't you say? Don't I think?
Well, you would know better. You are around them more often than I am now.
Well, what's the vibe you get night in and night out? It's a pretty tight knit group.
You can tell when a team isn't playing for its coach anymore.
Yes.
And I have never gotten the sense in Brunette's time that the team has stopped playing for him.
And I think that is a huge credit to him, because he had guys on that team, veteran guys, that easily could have checked out. And he never lost the room as bad as it got. And I had my wonders, just like, I mean, people were calling for it. People almost assumed it was going to happen around the time they came back from Sweden. And then not that long after, they lost 8-3 in that game against the Panthers. And I was looking around wondering myself, but you have to give them credit. First of all, the patience of Barry Trotz factored in, right? There are some GMs that probably maybe that wouldn't be ex-coaches.
I have said this many times. I truly believe that if Barry Trotz wasn't Andrew Brunette's boss, Brunette would have been fired a long time ago.
But at the same time, I think Barry Trotz also was aware, is this team still playing hard for the coach? And can they come out of this? And his conclusion was yes. But he is giving it, he is a coach in his DNA, and I think understands that sometimes as stuck as a team can get, it's not always the coach. A lot of times it's too easy. It's just as Barry Trotz called it himself, the low-hanging fruit is to always fire the coach. We just saw it in the last couple of weeks. 2 teams pulled the trigger on their coach with, 2 weeks left in the season, and they went with experienced guys. One team it worked for, one team it didn't work for.
Vegas is 6-0-1
under John Tortorella.
Under John
And
Tortorella.
he is a bad cop, just like his predecessor, Bruce Cassidy. Peter DeBoer, different than Patrick Waugh. The Islanders didn't pull out it. But you know what's different? The roster for the Vegas Golden Knights is quite a bit better than the roster for the Islanders. So it's not always the coach. Sometimes it's the roster that has a big, big factor in this. The coach
And
can't
look,
magically do it.
We had these conversations all the time with John Hines. We had these. I wrote about it. Y'all talked about it. We had these conversations with John Hines about John Hines all the time. Is it Hines or is it the roster? And you look at what John Hines is doing since he joined the Minnesota Wild. He's got a damn good roster.
He's got the 7th best winning percentage in the NHL since he took over that team.
So that's a feather in the cap of
7th
John
most
Hines.
wins. Well, but it's an example of what D-Mace was talking about. Bill Guerin took over as the GM for the Wild. Who did he replace? Paul Fenton, who was a right-hand man for David Poile for a long time. Paul Fenton had a lot of former Predators in the mix, including Dean Evison, who was the coach for Milwaukee for a long time. So that was Paul Fenton's guy. He was the head coach of the Wild. The Wild were pretty good. The Wild are kind of like the Predators in a lot of ways. Consistently good, but still hoping to have that deep playoff run that has been missing. The Predators have won more rounds in the playoffs than the Wild, but the Wild have been to the playoffs, I think, even more than the Predators, but they have not been able to win playoff series. So Bill Guerin came in. He kept Dean Evison for a while. But John Hines, of course, was available waiting in the wings. And after a few months, it wasn't working with Evison. Bill Guerin was like, John Hines is my guy. I'm bringing in my guy. And it hasn't happened in playoff success yet, but the Wild have certainly been a good team. But also, what has Bill Guerin done? He's got Kirill Kaprizov's coming in. They've got some young players that are hitting. They got out from under the Ryan Suter,
Parise.
Zach Parise contracts where they were shackled in terms of salary cap space. Now they have Quinn Hughes. So now they've got the horses. So now John Hines is equipped with a team that can win. The problem is they got to play the Stars in the first round.
I think one of the most difficult parts of, I think, being a head coach, and I'm just basing this upon the head coaches I've been around, is not necessarily, getting you to play for me. And this is what I said Coach Brunette was able to do with this team, especially right around the, circulating who's going to be traded and all this other stuff was. And this is why I think you got to really sit down, a new GM, and really think about, should I really keep him or not? I think you should lean on really keeping him for this reason. It's hard, and I don't think people realize how hard it is when you're losing. And it's not getting you to play for me. It's getting you to convince those younger guys to play for you as a head coach. I got to convince. That's why there's leadership councils, on these teams. I got to convince you to get those other guys in that locker room, because I'm not talking to everybody in a sense of sitting them down in my office. But I got to convince you, leaders. And if you listen to the leaders right around that time, they were all sort of pro head coach. I got to convince you to convince them to continue to play, even though all this stuff is going on, because as a head coach, I got to deal with the X's and O's and everything else. It's my responsibility to get them to play for us. Because if I can't convince you, leader, Yossi, Forsberg, Stamkos, Juice, if I can't convince you to play, then I'm damn sure not going to convince them. So y'all got to convince them and relay the message to them that we need to keep playing. If that is indeed the case, which I believe it is, you got to look at him and say, we might need to keep this guy and see how this season plays out, because he got those veteran guys who are still going to be. And now, if you want to come in and change the veteran leadership or up and you want to trade away some guys, then okay, you may need to
Start
sort of
fresh.
start fresh. But if you're going to keep these guys, they've already told you, we're listening to coach and we're going to get these other guys to follow suit. Well, if that's the case, all right, let's run this back this last year and see how it goes.
A lot of it depends on who the next GM will be. And we have some updates on the GM search, and we will get to those coming up next. 615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your thoughts on what the Predators should do with Coach Andrew Burnett, who is under contract, as Willie has said, for another season. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Talking Predators. At the top of the hour, we will get back into the NFL draft. We will make our official endorsements for the Titans pick at number 4 overall. So we will get to that in just a few minutes. But we have some updates on the Predators GM search. The Predators aren't doing any updating. They told us that from the get-go, that they weren't going to be providing us with any updates. Nick Kiprios of Sportsnet works with our friend Elliot Freeman, who will join us tomorrow at 5 o'clock on the program, had this in a notebook on other front office moves around the NHL. Quote, sounds like the Nashville Predators have a budget in mind to spend on their next hockey boss, so it's not likely they'll pay a lot for a big name such as Brendan Shanahan. Not sure where that would leave someone like former Devils president and GM Tom Fitzgerald, but he is expected to interview with the Predators this week at the recommendation of Barry Trotz. Fitzgerald, as we all know, was the first captain in Nashville's team history when Trotz was the head coach. We also have a clip from our friend Elliot Freeman from the 32 Thoughts podcast on what he's heard about the GM search.
Quickly, as I mentioned on Saturday night, Tom Fitzgerald has been added to the contender list there. I do believe also that Jeff Kelty, one of their current assistant GMs, did receive an in-person interview as well. I believe the Predators have decided they are going to go external. And even though Fitzgerald was the captain there a long time ago, he's been away for a while, so he is considered an external candidate. So I don't think it's going to be Kelty, but I heard he did well. And I think, I mean, who knows what the future holds here, but I'm curious to see if he doesn't get this, if other organizations start calling and asking to talk to him. I heard he got an interview and I heard he did quite well. I just don't think the Predators want to go internal. I'm also curious to see here if the Predators take a look at either Kevin Adams or Brad Treliving. They want an AGM or GM that has recently served in the position. And the fact that they've gone to Fitzgerald, and I think he is a bit of a unique case because he was their first captain. And I think he really wanted the opportunity to chase this job.
That was Elliot Freeman on 32 Thoughts, the podcast, on the Predators GM search. I do think, Willie and Derek, a lot of Predators fans will be relieved to hear that the team is looking to go external, not hiring someone who's already a part of the organization in the front office right now. And Willie, you made this point last week. Elliot made it on the podcast. Both of you are smart guys. I know that Tom Fitzgerald has not been a member of this organization for decades. I get that.
Not 2 years, not 4 years.
I said decades.
Not even 5.
I said decades.
24 years.
I said decades.
24 years.
Not
But
even 10 years.
I have this mental blockage about Tom Fitzgerald. And it's his time in New Jersey, if he's the hire, we'll certainly go through it. But I still just have this mental block about Tom Fitzgerald, whether I'm right or wrong about it. The fact that he has been associated with the Predators in some form, even if it was 24 years ago, I have a mental block about it.
But it's not like that was his only chapter in hockey. He played for 7 different teams.
I understand.
He's been with multiple teams since he's been with the Predators as a front office person.
Yes, he has. But again,
so I look at it as a strength.
it's a hurdle I can't get over.
Okay. We got to work on that.
I'm acknowledging that. It's a hurdle that I can't get over just because I am so dead set on, like.
But you don't have a guy. You don't have a guy that you think is the right person for the job. Who are you endorsing as the guy?
I do not have a specific name. How I've explained it before. So, for example, we did this when the Titans hired Mike Borgonzi, right? None of us know what role Borgonzi played in major decisions that shaped the Kansas City Chiefs' many, many successful seasons, winning multiple Super Bowl championships. We don't know. But I think a lot of us like the idea that he was coming from a winning organization, right? So that's where I sort of am with the Predators GM search. Elliot Friedman has mentioned names, Brett Peterson in Florida, Scott White in Dallas, for example, people who work for organizations that I think are worth emulating.
So you want a first-time GM?
I would not be opposed to a first-time GM who has worked for successful organizations. Like, for example, Willie, we've talked so much about the prospects and the development of the prospects. What's one thing we always mention when we talk about the Dallas Stars? How well they've drafted without having to have the number one pick in the draft. How they found Jason Robertson.
Right. That's how they've built this team, for
Jake Ottinger and Wyatt Johnston and Logan Stankoven, who's not on the team anymore, but you know what? He was good enough that they traded him to get Mikko Rantanen.
And it's interesting because their prospect pool right now has sunk down to the bottom because they're in the window of trying to win. But they built this team with some really smart draft picks for sure. But so that is definitely why a lot of these up-and-coming assistant GMs who a lot of people think are going to be GMs someday get on the radar.
A lot of Florida's assistant GMs are being mentioned for jobs because, hey, the Panthers went through 3 consecutive Stanley Cup finals and won 2 consecutive championships. You want that to rub off on your organization. And it doesn't always work. I acknowledge that. But that idea intrigues me as the Predators plot a new course. So
the only thing I would say to that is why I'm open-minded to either one. I think that all of the GMs who are out there, let's take Tom Fitzgerald. We can go and say, oh, boy, Tom Fitzgerald, the Devils. Man, they were okay. They had some good ones, but it wasn't great. But when Tom Fitzgerald got the job for the Devils, he had put together a resume that's not unlike the guys for the Stars, the guys for the Edmonton Oilers, the guys for the Panthers, the assistant GM. He was that guy for the Pittsburgh Penguins, who were an organization that got it right, won a lot of games, and that's what vaulted Tom Fitzgerald up eventually into the job with Ray Shero in New Jersey. So I think the experience of having gone through it as a GM and experiencing the ups and downs is valuable experience. Whereas the risk of the up and coming guy who's unscathed, but he's getting the position because of his role with a successful stint under another guy, I think it's a wash. I think you'd have to go through the interview process and say who's the best guy. So I'm not locked into either or.
I could envision a scenario where the Predators hire Tom Fitzgerald as their president of hockey operations and hire one of these assistant GMs as the GM. So the assistant GM, who's new at this in the big chair, has an experienced front office executive to bounce ideas off of. I could envision that for the Predators. It feels like it's going in that direction. We've talked to Barry Trotz about this. We're seeing that structure more and more, I feel like, anecdotally, in the NHL. There was also some other interesting notes in this Kyprios story on sportsnet.ca. He talks a lot about the Seattle Kraken, who are also looking for a new, not looking for a new GM, I believe, but Ron Francis, their president of hockey operations, stepped down, if I recall his title correctly. But here's what it said. Quote, according to one NHL executive, the Kraken actually thought they had a deal done with Nashville to give up a second and third rounder for Eric Haula. However, there was never a trade call, and there's no indication why the deal didn't happen. It should be noted, however, that Haula has partial no trade protection. But that's interesting.
I think Barry Trotz's quote at the end of the trade deadline, we did have some good offers for Eric Haula. So that is definitely one that
a second and a third.
We could only speculate what was going on behind the scenes. But I do think the fact that Haula remained with the team helped them get into game 81 with a chance. I don't think they would have been able to without him. They wouldn't have had anybody They didn't have they were only because Matt Wood played so well at center. That filled one of the holes left by Michael McCarron. If they had traded McCarron and Haula, I don't know who they would have had playing center.
Let's quickly go to Ryan in Nashville on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com. Ryan, thank you for calling and waiting. Go ahead.
Hey guys, I want Fitzgerald no part of this team. I don't even want him to president of hockey operations. I think most majority of the Predators fan base are tired of the Predator way. It needs to die. It hasn't worked in 20-something years. It needs a new play. I endorse Brent Peterson. I think him coming in, I understand he's a fresh assistant GM, but he's been to the big game 3 times. He knows what it takes to win. He's been under one of the best GMs in the NHL over the past few years. He knows what it takes. That's the guy I think would be the best. And honestly, I would bring in Ron Francis to be president of hockey operations. I don't want any ex-Predators anywhere near this team anymore.
Thank you, Ryan. Tell us how you really feel.
I mean,
It's just too easy to say that. It's the Barry Trotz won a Stanley Cup after he left the Predators. Tom Fitzgerald, part of Pittsburgh Stanley Cup. They know what it takes to win. Those guys know what it takes to win, whether they're with the Predators or not. A lot of those guys won stuff with not in Nashville.
is it just is it the Predator way, or is it just because the caller mentions it and you hear it a lot, whether it be NFL or hockey or basketball, the whatever way? What is wrong with in a sense, what is wrong with the Predator way?
Well, I will
In a
answer.
sense of-
Hasn't won a Stanley Cup. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I will answer the question for Ryan, who, if
Mhm.
he's listening, I'm sure is shouting at us, shouting.
Or
into the
when
void.
you say the Predator way is just don't hire people that have had affiliations with the Predators
This is what it is.
in any way.
This is what it is. Willie's point is part of it, that the Predators have not won the Stanley Cup. The
Mhm.
Predators have been an organization for nearly 30 years that has fielded many competitive playoff teams, but has advanced past the second round of the playoffs one time in nearly 30 years. So I understand Ryan's viewpoint and other viewpoints. And look, as you said, Derek, not just in hockey, not just here with the Predators, it's all across sports. Franchises are incestuous. Franchises like hiring their own guys because it gives them the warm and fuzzies, right? Like, remember how most of y'all felt when the Predators brought back Barry Trotz. A lot of you were excited to have Barry Trotz back in the fold. But I do understand the idea that this team has had 2 GMs. This team has had 4 coaches, right? 4 coaches. And a lot of them have had, I mean, it's different with Poyle because he was the first one. He was here for such a long time. But, Burnett had a tie to the Predators. Trotz, of course, had a tie to the Predators. Tom Fitzgerald has a tie to the Predators. I understand the point of view that Predators fans want a clean slate. So, I mean, like I said, I have a mental block about it myself. But I think a lot of Predators fans see this as an opportunity for the organization to pivot in a major way. And they see it as, okay, if it says Predators anywhere on your resume, whoosh, whoosh.
But even with that,
that's a ripping noise.
But even with that, I mean, Poyle had his success, and he hired several coaches. Barry, not quite as much success as Poyle had, but I think the core of both of these guys were about winning. That's it. So it's not necessarily the Predator way that people just start winning. And that's the part I'm trying to understand. Like this whole, we don't want no more Predator way. Just say y'all don't want anyone that has had ties, because I think the Predator way is just like any other team. We want to win.
615-737-1025. We'll take some more of your reaction coming up next. 615-737-1025. We will also make our official endorsements for the Titans' number 4 overall pick. We'll do that next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. In just a few moments, we will make our official endorsements for the Tennessee Titans and which player we want them to draft at number 4 overall. We will get to that in just a moment. But before we do, let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Dr. Locke. Dr. Locke, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
What's going on, fellas? What's up, D-Mace?
What's going on, Doc?
Hey, question for you. About a week and a half ago, we talked at length, and I was wondering, are we still walking lockstep at number 4? Are we still on the same page? Are we going Jeremiah Love?
Hey, it ain't gonna stop for me. Even if they don't draft him, I'm still
Thank you,
gonna be
Dr.
pushing.
Locke. Let's get to those endorsements. I feel like we need some sort of like political music, like Hail to the Chief. I don't know. I feel like we need, like, it feels like we're making a stump speech here. David Janes, if you find the right music, you can let us know. But we know where Derek Mason is going with this. But I want him to make his case. I want him to be passionate. You're on the stump. You're trying to convince the masses that this is what the Tennessee Titans should do. So, Derek Mason, without further ado, your official endorsement for the number 4 overall pick for the Tennessee Titans next week.
Okay, I'm gonna go your route with this one because I think I've tried to go my path with just giving you like what I see and what I think and what I believe he can be for this team. But what I found out, people like numbers and analytics and stuff like that. And so I understand it. So I'm willing to sort of move over just a tad bit. So if we're just talking about analytics, let's go with the analytics for a second. Jeremiah Love, elite explosive metrics, 16.1% explosive rush rate. Okay. That means he has an opportunity. He has a higher opportunity than any other back out there.
I like it.
To hit a home run when he has the ball in his hand. Okay. He's in the 98th percentile when it comes to explosive plays. His efficiency is graded very high in the 94th percentile. His forced missed tackle rate is 33.1%. That's in the 90th percentile. Okay, so he is praised for 0.39 missed tackles forced per reception. That's just reception. We ain't even talking about, which is the 89th percentile. So I can keep on going with more numbers. Ball security, he ranks in the 96th percentile with 0.2%. That's 0.2% of times he fumbles, which means he never fumbles when he carries the football. So I can continue to give you more and more. So if we're basing it purely on the numbers, he is a guy that is worthy of the 4th pick when you're talking about an impact player, when you're talking about what are things that we look at when we're talking about running backs in the NFL? Contact balance, explosive plays, yards after contact. He ranks high in all of these metrics in college, which means the likelihood of him having that same production is high once he gets in the NFL. Okay. And then 2, now I'm getting back to just watching what I've seen on film. And what I've seen on film is the most explosive college player this season. Will he get drafted number 1? No, because the Vegas Raiders need a quarterback. But if the Vegas Raiders didn't need a quarterback, then there would be a potential. If they don't trade out of it, they would draft a guy like Jeremiah Love. I know they have Ashton Genty. So I'm just saying hypothetically. But again, this guy is a consensus best player in the draft. Regardless of what position he plays, he's been considered the best player in the draft. They already have their quarterback, meaning the Tennessee Titans. They already have their quarterback. They need to shore up their offensive line. We understand that. They can shore up their receiving core. They need a number one receiving core. But I think if you want to help your quarterback out, a quarterback that you believe is your guy, your franchise guy, what you do, not only are you going to upgrade your offensive line, but you get him a guy that can not only take the pressure off of him, but more importantly, it takes pressure off the play caller. Because now I have a legitimate home run hitter. And it's not hard to call plays when you got a home run hitter. Ask the Tennessee Titans when they had Derrick Henry. Arthur Smith got him a head coaching job. Why? Because he could, I believe he was the coach of when Derrick Henry was here. And they were very successful at running the football. Okay? So that's a guy that takes the pressure off of not only the play caller, but the quarterback. That's what Jeremiah Love would do for this offensive side of the ball. And in contrast to that, now as a defense, I don't have to hold somebody to 13 points a game, 14 points, which is hard to do in this league. So I don't have to be perfect every game, because what did we say with the Titans this season? If their defense wasn't shutting people down, more than likely they were going to lose. If you get somebody like Jeremiah Love, upgrade your offensive line, you don't have to hold people to 14 points. It would be great, and I hope they do, but you don't have to fear, man, we got to hold 14 points. I've been on teams like that. When you go in and say, man, I hope the defense hold these guys to 14, 13 points, because, man, oh, man, we ain't looking good today. Well, if you have a guy like Jeremiah Love on the side of a guy like Cam Ward with an improved offensive line, the defense doesn't have to hold you to 14 points. Now they can hold you to under 20. Why? Because with a good quarterback that is developing, a hell of a running back and offensive line, we gonna score at least 20, 21 points, and we're gonna control the football. Because not only is he an explosive runner, he's also a 4-minute running back. Why? Because he can run between the tackles.
His name is Derek Mason, and he approves this message.
Absolutely. And
Derek
I'm going to throw
Mason.
in there, he can be a receiver if need be.
Derek Mason, officially, he's been doing it for months, but he officially endorses Jeremiah Love as the Titans pick at number 4 overall. Willie Donick,
Love.
your official endorsement for the number 4 overall pick.
After carefully consulting the workings of Thaler and Massey, Nobel Prize winner, the study done on the NFL draft, my philosophy, ladies and gentlemen, remains the same. Trading down historically gets you big benefits. So I'm here to tell you that I'm getting 2 players and not just one by virtue of having the 4th pick in the draft. But I am sensitive to the fact that there are only a limited amount of dudes, freaks, super freaks,
Don't forget
game
the super
changers, game wreckers,
game breakers, accelerators.
In other words, dudes. There's only a certain amount in this draft, and the Titans need dudes. So I love the trade down, but you can't go too far down because this draft is a little shallow. Therefore, I see the Titans trading down, but only a couple of spots, and they will select Sonny Styles,
the super freak,
who is a super freak, but plays a position that a lot of people are hesitant, like Jeremiah Love, to pick that high. So I think the Titans could slide down a couple of spots, maybe to number 6, maybe number 7. We'll see. Grab an extra pick that they need, which will be maybe in the 2nd round. Maybe it's next year's 2nd round. But it's another top 100 pick. It's a bonus pick. It's another throw to the dartboard that could end up being an impact player. We won't know who that is, but I still get my premier dude in Sonny Styles.
Can I give y'all a little history?
Sure.
History, because I'm still on my campaign. So I'm going to give you a little history.
D-Mace wants more campaigns.
Yes,
We give you extra time.
I'm paying for
This
the
is like the
campaign.
debate where President Trump just keeps coming back with more. I'm not done
Hey,
yet.
I need extra time. Extra time.
I got something else to say.
Debater. Hey,
Okay,
debater.
Mr. President, your time is up. I don't care. I can't.
I'm saying something else. Okay, in the history of the Houston Oilers / Tennessee Titans. This franchise has been its most successful when? Don't even answer it. I'm going to answer it for y'all, okay? One, when they had Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell.
Pretty
Okay,
good.
one more time.
First overall pick.
Earl Campbell. All right. The second time, when they had Eddie George. I'm going to say it again. Eddie George and Steve McNair.
Also pretty good.
Also pretty. The third time, I'm going to say it again.
Deontay Foreman.
Derek
Oh,
Henry. I'm going to say it again. Derek Henry. Oh, my bad. I am so sorry.
Bishop
Chris
Sankey?
Johnson. I am so sorry. Before Derek Henry, there was Chris freaking Johnson.
CJ2K.
CJ2K.
the
Both pretty good.
lineage of running backs.
The lineage, thank you, of running backs that this organization has had and they benefited from. Why stop now? Why stop now? You got your quarterback. Only thing you need now is your running back. That's why I'm picking Love for my 4th pick overall.
all you need is
Message
love.
from Derek Mason.
Love is all you need.
That's all you need.
So Derek
I didn't give you a
endorses
history lesson.
Jeremiah Love. Willie endorsing a trade back for Sonny, the Super Freak Styles.
But see, Willie can't go to history like that. You can't say the linebackers.
Maybe
you
he
can, but I'm saying like,
Larry Brazil.
yeah, man. I'm saying
Keith Bullock. He was.
Keith Bullock. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to go to Keith Bullock. I was about.
I was going
to
way
say-
back to the Houston days. Who I can remember. Robert Brazil, I think was his name.
Trying to think of some other. They've got some pretty good linebackers that have played here, but it hadn't been
inside
anything like
guys,
those
yeah.
running backs, man. So if Titans, you want to get back to the glory days, well, winning was expected.
You want the dude in the backfield.
Thank you, Willie. You want that dude in the backfield. Backfield in motion.
Okay, that leaves us with Adam thinking.
So what you got, Adam?
Let's
For
see what he goes
my
with.
official endorsement, I understand what Robert Saleh said at the NFL owners' meetings. Game changers aren't limited to the offensive side of the ball. An elite pass rusher can be a game changer.
Ruben Bain.
Now, that would be a curveball.
There's no way Adam's going Ruben Bain.
That would be a
ladies and gentlemen,
curveball. I understand Robert Saleh's point of view, and I hear what Willie Donick is saying. Sonny Styles could be for the Titans what Fred Warner has been for the San Francisco 49ers, and Robert Saleh would know a thing or two.
Injured?
When he's healthy,
Yes, he's a hell of a player.
he's a hell of a player. However, what this organization needs is someone who can take your butts and lift them out of those seats at the old Nissan Stadium for one more season and then at the new Nissan Stadium going forward. They need someone who will take your butt and lift it off of that seat. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only use the edge when Jeremiah Love is on the field. Derek Mason, he spelled it out for you. I don't have that much to add. Jeremiah Love, by all accounts, is the best player regardless of position in this draft class. He's explosive. He can catch. And I think the Titans desperately need someone to pair with Cam Ward, that 1-2 punch, to help Cam Ward develop into the franchise quarterback the Titans so desperately need him to be. I know Derek knows this too. He was on a team in 2008 with a rookie quarterback named Joe Flacco. And those Ravens had an incredible defense. And those defenses helped Joe Flacco develop into the quarterback he is today. He's still kicking. He's like 70 years old. He's still out there. He's still getting work.
He's the LeBron James of football.
He's still getting work. But I look at the Titans' offensive side of the ball, and I'm underwhelmed. Calvin Ridley, Wandale Robinson, Jim Dike, Eligaya Manor, Gunnar Helm, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears. I'm not sure you're going to get the best version of Cam Ward unless he has Jeremiah Love. So I, Adam Vingan, officially endorse Jeremiah Love as the pick at number 4 overall. All you need is love. Love is all you need. 615-737-1025. We've made our endorsements. You make yours. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Hey, it's Derek Mason. You heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a goal to shed some extra pounds, only to face disappointment. But I got some good news because at Cool Springs MD, excuse me, because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
D Mace, Vingan and Donick 1025 the game. I went with All You Need Is Love. My second choice was You Don't Want to Lose Your Love Tonight
Yeah, yes, sir.
for the outfield. Your
Oh,
love.
yeah.
You don't want to lose your love tonight in the first
that's
round
not
of the
exactly
NFL
the
draft.
But
lyrics,
can
is it?
you feel the love tonight?
Can you feel the love?
Can you feel the love tonight? That is
We might just have to have, if they pick Jeremiah Love, as these two guys have called for, might just need a montage of these lyrics
Trust me. Trust me.
Like,
I
all
have a
mashed up.
plan. If that happens.
David's
He's
working
got
on
a
it.
plan.
David's working on
Okay,
it.
I
So
like that.
The campaign manager.
So we have made our official endorsements. Derek and I have endorsed Jeremiah Love as the Titans' number 4 overall pick. Willie, as is his want, endorsed a trade down to draft Sonny Styles. What about you? 615-737-1025. Let's go to Rob on our phone line. Rob, thank you for calling and waiting. Please go ahead.
Thank y'all, gentlemen. I have an endorsement very similar to Mr. Donick. I would trade back, and I don't know the appropriate names, but I know we need a right guard, we need a center, and we're going to end up needing a left tackle because when we took Mr. I can't remember
Moore?
his name now, the guy from Pittsburgh. Yeah,
Dan Moore, yep.
Moore. He wasn't ranked in the top 45 of offensive linemen in the NFL. We took somebody else's reject, and we need to improve that position. So those are my endorsements. Your offensive line, I need to open holes for your running backs, and I need to have Cam stay off his can and be able to throw not under pressure.
Thank you for the call, Rob.
I mean, yeah, and I agree with them. They're going to need a guard and a center, and then ultimately a left tackle. But this year, I don't think, unless you're moving, unless you're getting 2 picks and you want to try to get a offensive lineman late in the first round, then I'm not sure there's any guards that would be worthy of drafting, especially not the 4th pick, but in the top 10 or 12. Tackle, yes, but I think the Titans will bypass the tackle and try to, deal with that later. But the guard and the center, even if you trade out, I mean, are you going to use one of those picks if they're 2 first-round picks on an offensive lineman? Maybe if you're getting a late first-round pick along with whatever pick you end up getting in a swap. But outside of that, if you're not getting 2 first-round draft picks, I'm not sure if the Titans are drafting a guard in the first 2 rounds. They may, but it's unlikely.
One texter, Joey, says, if the Titans trade the number 4 pick for any pick in a future draft, I feel like it would be a wasted trade. Love is the closest thing to a for sure thing. The Titans don't even have a good track record in the 2nd round. Josh from White House says, D-May sold it. He sold it so well. I'm also writing him in November of 2028.
Thank you. Yes. At least I got 1 vote. I know that in 2028.
Sean says, I endorse trading back with Dallas for their 2 first-rounders and a 3rd.
Yeah, if you're going to give me 2
been
first
floated
rounders,
out there, right? On some different sites. 12 and 20 for number 4.
Was that Breers or?
So I noticed on mock drafts today for Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, and Dane Brugler, all of them had mock trades involving the Cowboys trading up from 12 to 6 with the Browns and taking Sonny Styles. Now, the parts of the trade were different, but all 3 of them mocked that trade, which tells me that there's probably something there. But I assume if the Titans were the target, that it would cost a little bit more because you're moving up 2 spots. There's the number 4 tax versus the number 6 tax.
Yeah, that tax tends to jump when you're entering into the top 5. So if you want to get into that 4th, it's going to cost you 2 firsts. At least that's where my starting ground is.
Are you concerned picks. 12 and 20, because of what we've been told about this draft, doesn't have the freaks in there? That you're
Definitely
less
not
likely to get the freaks, even though you get 2 first-round picks for 1.
I mean, the way they are talking about the draft, no. But we all understand that. Yeah, listen, these guys all develop differently, and you draft a guy late in the first round or in the fourth round, they could turn out to be a Hall of Fame player. But I mean, the further and further you go down in the draft, the less likely you are to get one of those players. And when I mean further, I mean after 12.
Well, let me ask you this question, Derek. If the Titans were to do that, if they were to trade down with the Cowboys, let's say, and get that 12th pick, you're not getting Cardinal Tate, for example, at 12.
No.
But you could get Jordan Tyson,
Yeah.
the wide receiver from Arizona State.
Yeah.
Would that be?
If I'm moving to 12, I'm trying to get a defensive guy there first. And then if I got that 12 and 20, then I will get the receiver at 20. Because at 12, say if Bain is off your board at 4, you're not going to take him at 4. But you move to 12 and he's still there. I think that's a place where you got to think real hard about taking a guy like Bain at 12, knowing you have 2 picks. You can get Bain at 12 and a receiver at 20, or Bain at 12 and somebody else at 20.
Let's go to Adam in Portland on our phone line. Adam, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
That's exact. I hate that he just said that because it seems like I'm copying. So I would trade back, get Bain at 12, and then best available offensive player. Now, that could be a guard. It could be a tackle. I don't care. But I would not take a receiver necessarily, though, man, because I don't think – like, we have plenty of receivers, and you can't do anything. It's not like our offense got, like, astronomically better over this offseason. You look at it, we got a slot receiver, and we still have – I think we have bigger questions about the offensive line than we had heading into the offseason. So, I'm not super comfortable with that, but I do love Bain. And if you could get more assets and get Bain and then maybe improve the offensive line at 20, that's my pick.
Thanks, Adam. Let's go to Bear on our phone line. Bear, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm with you and D-Mace. I want to stick and stay. I do understand the logic of trading back, more players is, as a better increase in chances. But Love is just a guy you just don't come across. He's just one of them guys, man. You got an opportunity to get him if you can get him. Take them. And also, Adam, I don't know if anybody suggested it, but the song could be Love Train by who sang that song? The OJs, yeah. Love Train.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're all over that.
Thank you, Bear. We are all over that.
We have got you covered.
I'm just telling you, we may just play 3 hours of Love songs next week if the Titans draft Jeremiah Love.
Don't spoil it.
We're just gonna play Love.
Yeah,
or anything that resembles.
We may not even
Love.
talk for 3 hours.
Yeah,
we may just play love songs for 3 hours. Put you in the mood.
Exactly.
One texter says, "What would the Titans draft look like this year had they taken the Giants trade package from last year?"
Oh, Willie would love this.
Would they still be able to draft Love and possibly Reuben Bain? Well, I can't remember the particulars. I know
it's hard to know what would have happened last year.
We do know that a first-round pick would have been involved. So in this scenario, the Titans would have both the 4 and 5 overall picks. Assuming the Giants,
if you assume the Titans would have won the same amount of games with Cam Ward and last year, or as opposed to without.
Yes.
They probably would have been worse.
So you might have heard a lot of talk of, do they try to package and trade up to get Mendoza? Would you rather have Mendoza than Ward? That all these questions would be hypotheticals because we don't know who would have played quarterback from the frontier last year for the Titans.
And
they might have won less than 3. I don't know.
And this is why getting Cam Ward was the best thing last year. Because this year, say if they'd have won 4 games, they still wouldn't have been they won 4, right? 3 or 4.
3.
They still wouldn't have been in a position to draft a quarterback, which means they would have had to reach, I think, for a quarterback
or
in this year's
find
draft.
another solution with the reclamation project.
That too. That too. So, but I think they're in a good place right now.
But they would have had way more premier
Now,
picks.
what was that Giants pick last year? They were going to give up. What were they going to give up?
They were going to swap first pick, so they would
the
have
Giants were at 3.
So they would have had the 3rd pick. So let's just say they took who the Giants took, Abdul Carter, which that would have been he would have been on the team.
But
Plus
they'd
the
have got their
second rounder last
pick
year.
this year, right?
Second rounder last year. And then the first this year.
Yes. So they would have
The fifth overall pick.
They would have had 2 picks in the top 5.
2 in the top 5. Yeah.
No.
But you wouldn't have your quarterback.
Exactly.
By the way, I can't
Yeah,
believe.
but we don't know. Like, they could have gotten a Daniel Jones, a Mac Jones, a somebody.
Or they would have took Jackson Dart last year.
Maybe.
By the way,
because in theory, the Giants would have Cam
Exactly.
Ward, and who knows who would have taken Jackson Dart. And maybe the Titans, with that second round pick of the Giants, could have moved up and gotten Dart. There's a lot. There's just, when you trade down and you get more assets, you have more avenues.
I can't believe I missed this.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Allen signed with the New York Giants.
Oh, well.
Rejoining Brian Callahan.
There you go.
Isn't Callahan on Harbaugh's staff?
Yes, he is.
Brandon Allen just following around Brian Callahan.
I wonder what are they thinking? Like, because it's the same thing, I guess.
Jackson Dart.
But what are you thinking, like, when you bring in Brandon Allen? It's like, this guy can't win as any games.
Somebody must really like his makeup.
That's what I'm saying.
What he brings
like
to the table every day,
because he
Yeah.
can't.
The answer
win any
is Brian
games.
Callahan. The answer is Brian Callahan.
But he's never won. But he wasn't with Brian Callahan in San Fran, was he?
I believe he was with him in Cincinnati.
Yeah, he was with him in Cincinnati. Yeah.
Hmm.
But like, he's not
Brandon
winning
Allen,
you anything.
Brandon Allen played for the Bengals for 3 seasons.
Yeah. But he's
So-
not
there's your
winning
thing,
you
yeah.
anything. Like, he doesn't make your roster better in any way.
Somebody sold Harbaugh on him.
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm just thinking about that. Like, he's like, why?
Is Jameis Winston on a team?
He's still under contract with the Giants, I believe.
So it's Allen and Jameis Winston?
I guess it would be Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, Brandon Allen.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Well,
Because Tommy DeVito,
He's on a different team now.
I believe he signed with the Patriots.
there you go. He stayed on the East Coast.
The Cutlets aren't as good in New England as they are in
New York.
the New York, New Jersey area. But, whatever. 615-737-1025. That's just my opinion.
How did they? I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm sorry, Adam.
What,
I'm
about
trying to
Brandon
figure-
Allen?
Yes. How did somebody
certain guys
convince?
get a job?
Yes.
Yeah, keep getting jobs.
It's like, wow. That's why I said, listen, I've seen a lot of stuff in this league. And when people said Malik
Yeah.
Wilson, what is it?
Malik Willis.
Wilson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Willis,
Willis.
yeah.
I was about to say Wilson. Malik Willis wasn't going to make it. I'm like, yes, he will, because I've seen some really bad quarterbacks and some really bad players that manages to stay in the league for a while. And you just figure, like, why? How?
Brandon Allen has career earnings of $10,360,224 per spot track.
But keep it going.
And he
brother.
started, 8 games in his career, something like that?
Brandon Allen.
How many games has he won?
Okay, hold on. Let's Brandon
Allen
Allen
catches strays. I'm sorry,
Brandon Allen has started 10 games over 6 seasons in the NFL. He is 2-8 as a starting quarterback.
2-8.
And he's made more than $10 million. It's good work if you can get it, man.
Hey, listen, one thing a quarterback told me a long time. Hey, listen, stay in it as long as you make them force you out.
I mean, the guy I associate with this the most is Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel was all over the place. Chase Daniel, I would love to know his career earnings. Chase Daniel made nearly $42 million in the NFL. How many games do you think Chase Daniel started in the NFL?
How many years did he play?
He played 13 years.
He started
He appeared
not even a season.
He appeared in 74 games.
Okay.
How many games did he start?
30.
13.
5.
What? 5?
5.
Hey, listen, if you
Oh, man.
force
5.
them to kick you out.
I
made
thought there was like a
$40
1 year where he
million.
was the starter. 1 year?
No.
No.
Yeah, I thought he started one.
Sprinkling a
That's
few over
weird.
the years.
Charlie Whitehurst. Remember Charlie Whitehurst? Clipboard Jesus?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But he's
Handsome
not
man.
in the league anymore.
No, he's not in the league.
Yeah.
anymore.
Matt Castle was another one. Was on
Yeah.
for Titan guy forever, and he was.
Goodness.
You wondered if he could throw it 30 yards by the end, but he was. They loved having him around.
look, Brandon Allen, you keep doing you, man.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
I mean, we all watched the end of the season after Cam Ward got hurt, right, guys?
it wasn't good. Hey, but listen, he's
The
earning a
moment
living.
Cam Ward got hurt in that game, I turned off the TV. I was like, and that's it for me on the Titans season.
And Brandon Allen's in.
I'm not watching the 3-13 Titans in a
Led by
meaningless
Brandon
game
Allen.
with Brandon Allen. No, thank you. 615-737-1025. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 the game.
Hey, time for the latest from Loan Pronto. You know the message. The credit card interest rates now are just going bonkers, over 29%. So it's killing your monthly budget, whether you're really feeling it or not. But a lot of you are only making the minimum payment. So you're not really cutting into that. You're getting further and further away from where you want to be. So use Loan Pronto and their rapid equity loan. You may not realize you can use the equity in your home to access hundreds of thousands in cash so you can knock out that credit card bill with a much better mortgage rate. With Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can do that. You can pay off your existing HELOC, your car loans, get money for that home improvement project. For example, one client got $100,000 approved, saved over $1,500 a month. And with Loan Pronto, you can do it all from your phone. Zero out of pocket, no hard credit pull up front, no appraisal. Just call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780, or visit loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780, or visit loanpronto.com and get out of that hole. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
D Mace, Vingan and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Willie shared something with us during one of the breaks this hour that I'm still shook by.
Yeah.
Willie loves the show Euphoria, which I absolutely would have never guessed in my wildest
Season 3
dreams.
is out. Oh, yeah.
And he says Marshawn Lynch is in it.
So I've heard.
I had no idea. And then, episode 1 was out. Marshawn's in there.
But
there we go.
But Willie he's so wholesome, and Euphoria is not.
Yeah.
I just imagine Willie watching reruns of Leave It to Beaver every night.
No.
Nah.
Happy Days?
I used to watch Happy Days. You used to be stuck with the shows that are on after school, so whatever came on.
Yes.
But I like character study. Adam, I'm into deep characters.
You're definitely studying a lot of characters on that show.
There's some studying going on.
I'm okay
Euphoria.
with freaky out there stuff. I mean,
so we've heard.
Freaky for sure.
Quentin Tarantino and things like that. I like studying these characters.
Derek had to get up for a minute.
Why is Derek so surprised? He got up out of his chair.
It's the way you say the word freak or freaky.
Right.
It's the way
you say freaky.
The way I would evaluate Euphoria, and I would, if you have young kids, this is not the show.
Not for you.
No. It's an adult show.
It's
on
an adult
HBO.
show. But if you can get through the craziness,
freakiness.
there is a lot of substance to the show as well. And Zendaya is fantastic.
Look at that. The Mets have the longest active losing streak in Major League Baseball.
Why do you have to bring that up?
It's right there.
I was aware.
You knew Willie was sitting here too.
That too.
Okay, I want to discuss something quickly. I may make a lot of people upset.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
And I am not. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not that guy to say, "Hey, come out, we're caught." I'm not going to do that. All right. If I'm caught, I'm caught. I'm not bringing anybody else into the fold. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. And I may upset some people, and I'm not trying to upset people. I'm
Including
really
your
not.
boss, by the way.
Including my boss, who's 2 rooms over. But this wrestling and ESPN and making it seem like it's scripted. And they making it seem like it's not scripted.
Okay,
And,
hold on. Let's take a step back.
and again, I was an avid wrestler watcher back in the day. Okay. I loved it. All right. But that's when I thought wrestling was real.
Okay, let's take a step back for a moment. Okay.
That's awesome.
Let's it's still real to me, damn it. Let's take a step back.
I know I'm a peeve some people off. I know I am.
We've got SportsCenter on the TV behind me. And over the past couple of days, there have been WWE wrestlers on SportsCenter because WrestleMania, which is the Super Bowl,
Vegas,
which is the Super Bowl of the WWE, basically. It's the WWE's biggest annual event. It's this weekend in Las Vegas, Saturday and Sunday at Allegiant Stadium, home of the Raiders. And ESPN is now in the WWE business. All of WWE's biggest monthly shows are streamed on ESPN Unlimited, I think it's called. So I understand they're doing some cross promotion. They're trying to get people interested in the product. I will say this, Derek Mason, as someone who is a wrestling fan, has been a wrestling fan for a very long time. Let me rephrase actually. Wrestlers themselves wink at the fact now that it is scripted. It is quote unquote sports entertainment, which is what WWE called itself for a very long time. They're selling a product, but I can't hear what the wrestlers are saying because we have the TV muted. But they're promoting the show. They're promoting their matches
on SportsCenter,
right?
Yes.
But I understand what ESPN is doing. They're trying to get eyeballs. They're trying to drive subscriptions to the streaming service so people will watch WrestleMania.
It's crossing the line. It's crossing the line.
It's crossing the line?
Yes, because I completely am fine with all of the lovers of wrestling, as there are many in our building, many sports fans, our listeners. They love the wrestling. It's never been my thing, but that's fine. But I want to see sports on SportsCenter. I don't want to see professional wrestling. It's a different category. It should not be on SportsCenter. I want to see analysis of And I got a lot of problems with SportsCenter now. They don't even show highlights of games anymore.
Yeah, SportsCenter isn't what it used to be.
It's not what it used to be. And I'm not saying you got to do it the way you did before. Things evolve. But to me, that's across the line because it's a different thing. It's entertainment. It's not in SportsCenter. Even if you want to have your own special wrestling show, but don't put it in SportsCenter.
I understand that you have to have some athleticism.
Some
to
when
I say some,
that is
when I say
indisputable.
some, I don't mean like a little more.
No,
so.
these guys are amazing.
Yes,
what
that
they do.
You have to be
Men
an
and women.
athletic person,
acrobats,
to go out there and do what they do. But again, when I think of like just from a traditional sports standpoint, I think about there's no scripting, there's betting and all this other stuff that comes with it. I just don't see wrestling. Like I'm with Willie. Wrestling is like it's great, but it's its own category. And I understand why ESPN is doing it because they're in bed with them. So you got to promote, who's ever underneath your umbrella. You got to promote them. And wrestling is huge, but I never saw it as, when I'm watching football, basketball, baseball, hockey, I don't then say, oh, wrestling is that sport. No, I know you have to have athleticism and there are certain things you got to go through and you just have to be equipped to live or to sort of play in that world in regards to being a wrestler. But I just don't see it the same as like traditional sport.
The other thing too is nowadays wrestlers aren't quote unquote living the gimmick. So back in the day when the two of you watched wrestling, the wrestlers, they played the characters on TV. They also played the characters in daily life. If one wrestler was feuding with another wrestler on TV and they were the best of friends off camera, they could never be seen with each other. It's a much different world now. These, the WWE and other wrestling companies, not just WWE, they try to portray the wrestlers as real people. Like they've got the stage names and stuff, but they're just normal people who have huge muscles and can beat the crap out of each other. I mean, look, I just looked this up quickly. WWE generated $1.7 billion in revenue in 2025. It is a lucrative business.
I'm not saying it's not a money generator because it is.
I mean, look, like today, like I won't get into the whole like story and stuff because it's kind of silly. But like today, even like Pat McAfee has been a part of WWE. He's been an announcer for WWE for quite some time. He's part of a feud at WrestleMania. The wrestler he's feuding with went to his studio today and just like took a baseball bat to it. Probably replace some more expensive things with replicas.
But I'm sure all of that was scripted.
Of course it was.
Like he wouldn't dare, meaning McAfee, go and start talking that stuff in true boxing circles because it ain't scripted.
You want to talk trash to Brock Lesnar? I wouldn't.
No, I'm not.
I'm saying.
No, what I'm saying is that it's all built into the story.
Yes. Look, I mean, wrestling is still taboo for a lot of people, and I get it.
I don't say that. It's not taboo to me. It just shouldn't be on SportsCenter. It's its own thing.
Well,
and they're not just sprinkling it in there.
Well,
they're putting it in a lot.
You can go home and watch Euphoria instead.
Oh, I already have twice.
That okay. I don't know what to say about that.
Twice.
All right, I'm gonna bite my tongue today. We will be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
I watch Rooster too.
Okay.
Rooster's good.
Mike Herndon of PaulKaharski.com will be on the program. Elliot Freeman of Sportsnet will be on the program. We'll get into the Titans, the Predators, and more tomorrow, starting at 3 o'clock right here on 102.5 The Game.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, wonderful day. I love you. The team love you. You hear that music. Don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. See you tomorrow, 3 p.m. on 102.5 The Game. Peace.